Another busy week, but readathon is over, so let's talk about what I read in my final week and how things turned out. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing my weekly update here for the last week, which is mostly the first week of May here. But still included some stuff I was working on finishing up for the Battle of the Bands readathon, where unfortunately my team 90s, which is still the best despite coming in third, we didn't quite make it to second, but first was way ahead. They did a crazy amount of reading, but it was a lot of fun, and I read some great stuff, and I got to a lot of things I'd meant to for a long time. And with that, let's talk about things that I did read. So I commented in my last one that I was reading The Moonsteel Crown and Master of Whitestorm. So those are the first two things that I did finish. Moonsteel Crown, I finished it. It was okay. This is one, like I said, I actually had DNF'd this, but I didn't have time to start something new because I was a little bit behind, and so I decided to just keep going with it, and ended up just cranking out the rest of this, going from there, and it was fine. Like I said, it wasn't bad on paper. Because it's a book. But no, in all seriousness, on paper, I feel like it should have worked. So it was kind of like, had some like heist elements. They do a heist and things go wrong. It had some interesting characters, interesting magic and lore being set up. But for some reason, just nothing really like stuck out to me. Nothing really pulled me in and had me invested. And some of the character quirks, I just found to be a little bit repetitive and annoying. And so I think if you really like heist stuff, and or you like gang like fantasy where there's like crime gang, that sort of thing, and quirky characters, this still may be one to check out. But it wasn't quite for me, so I did finish it. My thoughts didn't really change. It was about 3 stars. It was okay. It wasn't really bad. I just didn't really care for it a whole lot. So that was that. Then we had Master of Whitestorm by Janie Wirtz, which is my final book in Jannie's solo bibliography. I still need to read Empire. I will read the Empire trilogy for sure that she did with Raymond Feist. But this is the last full just single novel for now. There will be more, I'm sure. But as expected, I had a good time with this. This was really different, and I commented a little bit. It had almost sort of an old school sword and sorcery feel to it, although there's a lot more depth and complexity than you usually get with that. So I'll definitely talk more about this and do a review. I'm not going to do a review for Moonsteel because I basically already said my thoughts on it, but I'll definitely have a review for this coming up. I have actually so many reviews to film. I'm really ahead on book reading, but I need to film a lot of reviews, including this one, so definitely we'll be talking about it. But really interesting, really different from a lot of her stuff, but also you can see some of the stuff that came out later, and some stuff here with the character that you see some explored more in later books and everything too, which is why I always think it's interesting reading an author's earlier stuff as well. So there was that one. And then I did do the Doors at Dusk and Dawn by Bradley P. Bolu. I think that's how you say his name. And this is a novella in the Sharakai or Song of the Shattered Sands series. Now, I had previously DNF'd this series in book 2, but I always it was kind of a softie enough. I thought I might go back at some point, and I wasn't really sure. This, though, was recommended by Stacy. It was very short, and that was why I picked this. So I didn't. It was okay. Once again, I wasn't crazy about it, but I needed some really short stuff to just finish out the readathon prompts. This ended up working. I feel like, despite the fact that with the series too, it wasn't something like I hated or that I think is bad. It's just for some reason it didn't work for me, and that was kind of how I felt about this. So I feel like I may have made the correct choice for me and continuing or choosing to not continue that series. So that's kind of where we landed there. Then we had, which ended up being quite the surprise standout, and just the perfect thing I feel like for right at the end of the month, Dragon Champion by E.E. Knight. This is just a random book I got from Book Outlet, I'm pretty sure, at some point, because dragons and cool. And I remember doing the first chapter of this and realizing that it is a dragon main character, and so I was pretty interested in this. Actually starting the book, though, so the author mentions that when they were younger, they thought there weren't enough books about dinosaurs, and so that's one of the reasons why they wanted to write this. But it is a dragon character, and it does start out with the dragon, being hatched, but then we have a lot of time. So there's a lot more to this than I expected, but it just was a lot of fun, and there were some great moments. I will definitely talk more in a review, because I'll definitely do one for that one as well. But there were just a lot of great moments. I had a lot of fun with this, and I feel like it was exactly what I needed. I had a wonderful time with this, and so it worked out pretty well, I think. Switching back to the other side of the coin there, I had a couple of things that I was trying to finally get to, because I'm still working on catching up with review copies, which I feel like I always am. And I'm finally getting there, because I haven't been accepting new ones for the most part, and so I'm finally starting to catch up on ones that I've had. But I tried The Drowned Horse by David Boop, and this one is, like, premise-wise really interesting. It's like a town called Drowned Horse that was cursed way back when, and so then there's the people there, including like a sheriff, and they're trying to like deal with everything there. So it sounded almost like Wild West, but with some like fantasy elements or some like darker things going on, or almost like weird Twilight Zone stuff happening. I don't know. But I was starting. I wasn't getting a whole lot of fantasy or Western. It honestly felt more like old school sci-fi, like the serialized short stories where there's kind of a weird thing happening and they're dealing with, and each it is like a collection of shorts that all kind of they're you can read them individually, but they all kind of come together. I tend to be a little bit hit or miss with that, and in fact, in the month of April, I read some of the Lankmar books that I also was just like, eh. And this was kind of just the same. I wasn't really feeling invested or interested. The style just wasn't working that well for me, so that one I decided to put down. That was a review copy, if I didn't say that had been sent to me a while ago. I did. I had a whole thing about that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, and then I also tried Unbound by Michael R. Miller. This is book 2 in Songs of Chaos, and it's just an absolutely stunning book. And I love these books. They're really nice, naked hardcovers. But after reading the first one, I had some concerns, because I thought it was fine, but there were a lot of things that just weren't really for me, with it being a little bit younger reading, the kind of progression elements not really being a huge thing for me, but still thought some stuff was interesting. And I was going through this one too, and going through quickly because they're very, very readable. And I have found I don't think that this is a series for me, so I will not be continuing on to book 3. With this one, there's a lot of good stuff here, and they're well written. They're very easy and light, and that's kind of why I threw this on, because I wanted something in that. I was waiting until I was in the mood for something like that, but I just found myself not particularly invested. I'm really hit or miss with like progression, gamelet type of elements, and with kind of YA in general, with some stuff like that. So with some of those elements, and this second book does start to get a little bit more complex. They're focusing a lot more on a political situation. There's a character from the first one that you explore a lot more here, and so I liked some of those aspects as well. But I just found myself not being particularly invested here overall. And so these are some of those books that I understand why they're popular and why a lot of people really like them. And I think a lot of people would really like this, especially if you like Dragon Rider fantasy, you're okay with a little younger reading, you like something that's just fun, light, and easy to read, those types of things. If you like those progression, gamelet type of elements too, you get some of that here. So there is definitely a big audience, I think, that would love this. It's just one where I'm probably not in that ideal audience. And so it's still, they've been solid. The first 2 were solid, but just not something that for me I was going to be continuing on. From there, I really haven't been sure what I wanted to read. And so I ended up actually starting, I forgot to get out, The Gathering Storm on audio. This is book 5 in Crown of Stars, because I know I'm going to have a good time with this, because I really, really enjoy this series. And it's a long audiobook, and it was on my list for this month anyway. So I figured I might as well just start it now, because I have some other stuff that I definitely want to get to. So I started that, and then I'm going to kind of see. I might try to work on some more review copies. I might just try some random books. There's definitely some stuff I didn't get to in the readathon. There's some stuff that I meant to get to before the readathon. So I'm not entirely sure. I know I will definitely, if my copy ever comes, I've had issues getting a copy of Song for Our Bone by Guy Gabriel Kay. I am planning on doing that one next for Guy Gabriel Kay. So that will hopefully be this month. And then I got a couple of other buddy reads as well, including Blood Over Brighthaven and Temeraire 4. Which is something with Ivory, I think, coming up. So I have those coming up as well. And then I have just started, so I'm not really far enough in to have a super big opinion yet, but Dreamer's Throne by Seth Ring. This is a lit RPG, and so like I was just saying, those elements tend to be really hit or miss for me, so I'm going to kind of see how I feel about it here. So far, we definitely have those elements, but also a story developing, so we will kind of see. That's another one that I've been meaning to get to for a while, so I'm going to keep working on trying to catch up on those. And also just I have a ton of books that I've wanted to read for a while too, so I'm going to start trying to get some of those in. Especially May is going to be a month where I'm not going to have as much free time starting in June. So May hopefully will I'll get some more stuff read and in. But that's really it for this one. Let me know your thoughts on any of the books I talked about, and of course, let me know what you read this week and what you thought of it as well. Always interesting to hear from you in the comments. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description as always for the Wizard of the Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of these books, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun. We'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.